Yes. Now, just so that we understand this Posse Comitatus Act, yes. Um, the execution of the law in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, yeah. When the armed forces perform tasks assigned to an organ of civil government, yeah. Now, these tasks that are assigned to those in office that said they'd support and defend the individual state constitutions and the United States Constitution, yeah, they didn't. You haven't supported and defended the Constitution. And then there are those in law enforcement in the King County Sheriff's Department. Yeah. Well, you said, well, it's a local jurisdiction problem, but there was forgery, fraud, and misrepresentation. Yeah. Kidnapping, child abduction, child exploitation. Yeah. And the retardation of children. Pooh. Now, when the armed forces perform tasks assigned to them solely for the purposes of civilian government, questions concerning the Act's application arise most often in the context of assistance to civilian police. Well, when the police don't enforce the guaranteed civil rights of myself, yes. My wife, because she had no legal right to divorce me, yes. My sons, Coach, Marilyn, and her children, yes. And numerous other individuals, I think that you disqualified the Posse Comitatus Act. Yes. Now, just so you understand, I could be wrong. Yeah. But let's say that you obligate me to go to a cell hearing on January 4th, and I continue to email CID, and they have knowledge of the fraud. Yes. Of having me tried for a crime I didn't commit. Yes. Because you, the police department, got emails from me on June 16th of 2017. Yeah. And I was in Port Angeles. I wasn't in Brennan Pool. And then you've been getting emails, hundreds of thousands of them for the last 3 years. Yes. Where you wanted to say I was mentally ill, but I'm not. Poop. Now, the military, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, they would all get sued for allowing you to do what you're doing because of your saying that it violates Posse Comitatus. Yes. Now, the military is used so as to subject citizens to exercise military, regulatory, prescriptive, or compulsory. Yes. Now, the execution language of the Act mentions only the Army and the Air Force, but is applicable to the Navy and the Marines? Yes. By virtue of the administrative action and commands of other laws. The law enforcement functions of the Coast Guard have been expressly authorized by Act of Congress. Yeah. They can arrest those that they suspect of felonies. Yes. Class B, Coach, Class A, and Class C. Or they have the knowledge of kidnapping. Now, I am suing the Coast Guard, just so you know, okay? And the National Guard. You said I can't fire Washington State's National Guard. I can. For refusing to support and defend the state constitution and every National Guard in each and every state that allows for their individual states to be sued. Yeah. For rendering, yes, criminal assistance to law enforcement that wants to have me admitted to a mental facility for a crime I didn't commit for a fraud that they did commit. Oh. Now, the Act has been applied to National Guard when it is in federal service to civilian employees of the armed forces. Oh, and to off-duty military personnel. Now, I think that when you don't do what you have sworn you would do, sheriffs, yes, they have to protect my rights as American citizen. Oh, now we only have 9 days, isn't that right? Oh, oh, oh. Colonel William Winthrop opined that the occasion for its having passed, yes, the act remained a mere impediment to the constitutional exercise of the executive power of the nation. Now, some would say that it takes an executive order from the White House, but it doesn't. See, the military is personally liable for each and every court hearing where you obligated me to have to appear in court, yes, for crimes I didn't commit in Sequim, Washington, and Brennan, Washington, for every time that you harassed, tormented, tortured, and abused myself as a citizen, And then all the abuses that my sons have had to suffer. Now, this Insurrection Act, yeah, it doesn't require the president's signature. True. The military, as a department of the United States government, there's like a cabinet position in the executive branch, yes, where you appoint cabinet members that happen to be secretaries of the Department of Defense, yes. Those secretaries are personally liable for their sworn oath of office when appointed to office when they represent the various departments of the cabinet of the president's cabinet. Now, I've told you about the swearing in. Pooh. They are liable for the support and defense of the Constitution without the president invoking the Insurrection Act. The very thought of the fraud of issuing fraudulent court orders, yes, having the fraud of false imprisonment, and then the abuse of the actual judicial system of the United States. Now, others have viewed the act as having a deleterious effect on the nation's commitment to civilian law enforcement. Well, it cannot be deleterious effect, yes, when the nation's civilian law enforcement, every police department, yeah, doesn't enforce the laws. It's kind of the last bastion of hope for those that are being abused, harassed, or tortured. Yes. Now, I wanted you to know that while soldiers serving on the policy remained subordinate to civilian rules and law enforcement officers, troops called out under the Insurrection Act came to be viewed as an independent military force, unless there was an actual insurrection where the Secretary of the Department of Defense had knowledge of it. Now, I know the president doesn't want to involve himself, but I wanted to remind the president that each and every appointed oath of office in the actual cabinet of the presidency, all those individuals are personally liable for the support and defense of the Constitution of the United States. I don't need the signature of the President of the United States. I can sue every member of your cabinet for the knowledge of the fraud of violating the laws of the United States. Now, I know as a White House, you think it's important for the president to have a cabinet. Yes. But I think it's more important that I have them put in prison so then President Donald Trump can sit there as president without any cabinet members, having any secretaries of any department of the United States government. And then you can run the whole shit around yourself right now.